I am Tom at Just One Pack, and this is AC On, the short Alpha Clash podcast, where I talk all things Alpha Clash on my way to work. Now, this episode is the first one after the release of Genesis Returns, and with the release and a lot of content of people opening boxes, there's an article released, or news article released on the alphaclashtcg.com, the Alpha Clash website, with a few good points, including one that corrects a misunderstanding that I have. And I want to talk about that. Not all of it, but some of the most interesting parts, and then I'll link below, and you should go read it yourselves. So, before we dig into that, we are not a lot of weeks away from ClashCon, the Pro Tour and all the rest of it at ClashCon in North Carolina, in Charlotte, which is the 6th to the 8th of December. You should definitely be going. Hopefully, I have a gimmick I want to bring, if at all possible, to make it. So if you see me there, and if I've brought my gimmick, I might have a present for anyone who recognises me. So there we go. That was a little bit of tease. Otherwise, if you have the opportunity, go to ClashCon, and I'll see you there. Now, that said, we are a few episodes away from that too, but having said that, let's dig into the release of Genesis Returns, the 4th set, and the game is looking strong as ever. The news article that came out alongside the release had a few interesting things, so let's dig into it one at a time. First up is, at least on my list, is the keyword. There's a lot of keywords, new keywords in Genesis Returns, and one of the keywords is magnitude. Now, when I made my tier list, and before that, there's been some going back and forth what magnitude really means. The keyword magnitude is on the Kilimanjaro contender, and what that keyword really means, how it functions, has been, at least for me, a bit unclear. I thought I had it when I made the tier list. Now I know I didn't have it right, at least. So magnitude is a number, usually in whole 5, so if you can understand what I mean. In 10, 15, 20. So you get a magnitude sum number. What I thought that meant was that when you have that specific amount of cards in your Oblivion, you can trigger that effect. That is not the case. It is, you need at least that many to trigger that effect. And it is a triggered effect, not an ability. So having magnitude 10 or 15 means that you need 10 plus or 15 plus cards in your Oblivion. That's very important, because what that does is that it makes it very, very much easier to hit that mark. You are not, the manipulation from your opponent does not benefit them in any way. So a diminished deck playing against you is sort of helping you out, gaining more and more abilities. That is a much stronger effect than I thought it would be. So magnitude is the number that should at least be in your Oblivion in order for the effect to work for you. So that's a very important thing. Had I known that when I made the tier list of the contenders, I would definitely have placed Kilimanjaro higher on the list. But I guess I have to make an updated tier list, maybe even of all the contenders, once the Pro Tour is over, and we sort of see how the Genesis Return contenders actually stack up in constructed play. And that's an important part. It's in constructed play, and I was sort of looking at it in a vacuum in that. But yeah, let's see how they work, shall we? Some of the other things that came out in the same article was a few of the new keywords. One of the really interesting keywords that came out is bound. So bound is on every single multicolored card in Genesis Returns. Not all multicolored cards ever, but it's on the multicolored cards in Genesis Returns. And what that means is that you can only have one card of that name in your resource zone at any one time. You can have all 4 copies of it in your clash zone, but only one of them can be in your resource zone at any time. That is, of course, to temper the, or at least I interpret that as to being a way to temper the the benefits of having dual color cards available as a resource. It doesn't give you 2 resources. That is still not a thing in Alpha Clash. I'm guessing it will be at some point. It will be coming around, but it's not a thing now. But what it does do is that it allows you the flexibility of having one card that can either pay for one or the other color if you need to. So it is an interesting and useful tool. I don't know how powerful it is, but it's an interesting and useful tool, which has this keyword bound. Now you can have one copy of each of the bound cards in your resource zone. That's fine. You can just not have 2 of the same name. So it's the name that is limited there. So when we get more dual colored cards, you can have more in your you can have more different colors available in your resources. So for now, it's just the 5 in this, and I think there was there was a Clarity card earlier that had a dual color. I think it was black and white, if I remember correctly, which, by the way, does not have bound, but has exclusive, I think. So that's sort of limited there. And finally, because this is going to be a rather short episode, because there is much news that is not shown on a lot of on content creators' websites, and it's not that it's not interesting. We just want to have to play around with our cards now, and haven't got a chance to play enough with mine. But what I did, what I missed in the period up till the release was a keyword called recover. I don't know why I missed that, but I did. So on at least one Shadowlight card, it is also in the article, at least on one Shadowlight card, the keyword recover X is written. And it does exactly what you think. Whenever that takes effect, your contender recovers that much life, whatever X is supposed to be. And that is not the first life gain. There's been other ways to gain life, but that is the first keyword that directly lets you gain life, which is interesting. I don't know if, for me, that sort of hints to an upcoming strategy that is not maybe viable in this set, but could be something you will build in after set 5 or maybe even set 6. That sort of hint from the future of what would be coming, just like we now have dual colored cards, which were hinted back when Clarity came out, that you could have multiple colors. Another interesting thing, speaking of that, also from that article, there could be sort of a hint of what is coming in the future. Is there is a distinct description on what it means to flip a card, and that you cannot flip a card to something that does not have a card on the backside. So you can't flip it to the generic backside. That to me is, of course, that in the article, of course, is, of course, I was saying of course twice there. That is a reference to the mechanic on Shadowlight's card, but it is described in general terms, which sort of, at least to me, suggests that there will in the future be more cards that are dual-sided, meaning you're going to have a back and a front you can play, but also that it does not have to be contenders. This could be clash cards, or maybe even some actions or another, or maybe a card that we haven't heard at all. Of course, we always had that with the portal being able to be flipped, so we know that you can print on two sides. Every card has that, but it's sort of interesting to see that might be a mechanic. We had the hints of that being a stable mechanic in more cards and more different cards. So maybe already in the next set 5, whenever that comes out, we should make a note on what would be two-sided, maybe clash cards. That would be not a given, but that would be an obvious choice. Anyway, that's all I have for this time. Go enjoy your Genesis Return, and then I'll see you at ClashCon. Yeah, that was it. Talk to you then. Bye.